My name is Keshawn Sewell. I was born in Jamaica, this town called St. Catherine. I lived there for 9 years, and then I had the opportunity to move to New York. I lived in Brooklyn, New York for 3 years, and had a little bit of trouble there. I had a little bit of a problem assimilating to that culture. So I had some family in McPherson, Kansas, and had an opportunity. That's how I kind of made my way to Kansas. And then I made my way here to Fort Hays State. I got a Bachelor of Science in Health and Human Performance, and I graduated in the class of 2018. You know, in my family, I'm the first one in my family to have gotten a college degree. So it wasn't really a lot of pressure or expectation to even go to college. It just really wasn't a thing that was talked about a whole lot in our family. And you know, for me to have that opportunity, for one, to even get an opportunity to even go to school was incredible. And so I always did pretty well in school, but I wasn't really sure college would be even on the table or if it was in the cards. So when I had an opportunity to go to McPherson and excel in sports, that's when I really thought, hey, maybe college might be something that's available. And then after 4 years to be able to, I guess, pile up a few accomplishments that, you know, might have inspired others to be awarded the Torch Award was incredibly humbling. And I'm very fortunate that a lot of those things I did are still making an impact, even as I've graduated over a year now. You know, I would say I came to Fort Hays State accidentally. I was a long triple jumper, and as a high school senior, I initially had committed to Wichita State. And my senior year of high school, I had an unfortunate ankle injury where I broke my leg in basketball. And so Wichita State actually pulled that scholarship. They reneged on that. And my high school coach happened to know the Fort Hays coach, Coach Weber at the time. He's now retired. And that's kind of how I got that connection and came to Fort Hays State. And I'm extremely happy I did. It's, you know, it was an incredible 4 years for me. I ended up breaking my ankle 2 more times. So I think I learned a little bit about that maybe track wasn't my thing. So I focused a little bit more on the academics and being a little more involved in the community. When I first got to Fort Hays, one of the big things that a lot of people were talking about was Dr. Hammond. And he had been the president here for about 30 years. And I came to Fort Hays in 2014, which was, you know, right at the end of the summer when he was retiring. And one of the unique things I think that about my Fort Hays State experience is that within the 4 years I was here, I think we had about 4 different presidents. And so Dr. Hammond had just left. We had Dr. Martin, and Dr. Tompkins had spent some time as an interim president, and then finally Dr. Mason. And so I think one of the cool things with my college experience was almost seeing Fort Hays take a different step, you know, towards progressing as a university and going through so many different leadership changes. We've seen a ton of new athletic developments. I remember when I got here, we had the big green pasture by the football field, and we had the long jump runway and the pole vault runway that was outside. And at that time, we were running and jumping at Lewis Field, and we practiced in the new indoor facility. And that was great. Even as a freshman, when I came on my recruiting visit, you know, a lot of schools didn't have indoor facilities at the time. And so that was a big selling point for me. I thought this would be a great opportunity, especially in the wintertime, to be able to compete in an indoor facility. And you fast forward about 2 years, it was really cool to see the university put an emphasis on track and field. And now we have our own standalone facility there off the bypass. And so it's been a great facility. We've hosted multiple meets there. I'm also a track official now, so I've officiated some long and triple jump there. And it's a big recruiting tool, I know, for the head coaches. And just within my 4 years, you know, we also saw the resurgence of Fort Hays State football. It was really cool as a junior and senior to see them winning 11 games, winning the conference, beating our rival, Northwest Missouri. So it's been awesome. Women's basketball has really turned the tide as well. They're a national power. So athletics has definitely grown a ton within the 4 years that I was here. I'm really thrilled to have had the opportunity to be here for that 4-year period where Fort Hays really put an emphasis on growing as a university. And we've seen that in some of the news that have come out in terms of tuition rates going down and attendance and enrollment going up at Fort Hays State. The thing that I recall very vividly as a freshman, you know, when I came to the Tiger orientation, I remember I believe he's the director of retention, Dr. Brett Bruner, and I remember him very specifically saying, look back on this day, and as you graduate, think about the legacy you made during your 4 years at Fort Hays State. And that really stuck out to me. I remember sitting in that auditorium and thinking, okay, I have 4 years now to go to Fort Hays. How am I going to make that count? And, you know, as I mentioned, I got hurt as an athlete, and I thought, okay, what can I do else in the community to make myself impactful, to make a difference on the Hays community and the Western Kansas community as a whole? And I happen to have a little brother who has autism, and I thought there was a huge disconnect between the college population in Hays and the special needs community in Hays. And so that's how Tiger Pals came about. And Tiger Pals was a Fort Hays State student organization that connected Fort Hays students to individuals with special needs in the schools, other programs we partnered with. And it's been fortunate. The program's been going strong for 3 years. We've grown. We've hosted a prom that had over 800 guests in February. We built a basketball court that's handicap accessible that I guess a lot of people are using, so it's being very active in the community. So it's been a great, humbling experience. And looking back to that time when Brett told us, what your impact would be, what your legacy would be, I'm very thankful to have been able to found Tiger Pals and see it make such a big difference in Hays. I came into FHSU really just focused on track. I thought, I'd run track for 4 years and just kind of see where life takes me. But I came into Fort Hays and, after a few injuries, really sat down and thought about, finding a purpose. And I think Fort Hays, it provides you so many different opportunities, both on campus and in the community, to find your own specific purpose. What do you want to do after you graduate that'll be impactful for you personally and for the people around you? And, whether it's athletics, starting my own student organization, Fort Hays has just given me so many tools to find the things that drive me and to make others around me better. And so I'm so thankful for that opportunity to be here at Fort Hays because, it gave me tons of opportunities to do that.